We were speaking about elder abuse. This is a serious issue and there are calls for more funding for the sector. Do you think that will help address this issue?
Well, I think what we need is a faster action from a government. To take 4 years to implement a recommendation is very concerning, considering that we're expecting the Royal Commission recommendations later this year in November. I would hope that it doesn't take the government 4 years to respond to those recommendations. What we saw with the interim recommendations, of course, from the Royal Commission was the government respond but not respond adequately enough. And we still have over 100,000 older Australians waiting for home care packages, despite the Royal Commission saying that this was neglect on behalf of the government. So there's clearly a lot more that the government can and should be doing to respond much faster to what's happening in the aged care system today. And these are ongoing issues that were there prior to COVID-19. Let's be very clear. The home care package waitlist has been more than 100,000 older Australians waiting for quite some time, for years indeed, and that older Australians are waiting a very long time for their care. And of course, the World Elder Abuse Report, as I said, it's been 3 years since that report with those recommendations was handed down to the government, and we've seen a lack of action from the government in implementing those recommendations.
Now, if I can ask about the move in Victoria today, that the Premier's asked the federal executive and they've agreed to have this inquiry into the Victorian Labor Party. That's also going to suspend much of the grassroots activity while they get to the bottom of just how pervasive this branch stacking issue has been. Do you think this is the right move from Daniel Andrews?
Well, clearly this is the right move. It's acting swiftly and quickly to deal with a situation in the Victorian branch of the ALP. I think what it shows is both Daniel Andrews and Anthony Albanese, and indeed the National Executive of the Labor Party, is willing to act very swiftly and to do whatever is necessary to make sure that members of the Labor Party, rank and file party members, can be proud of the Great Australian Labor Party and the history of the Labor Party, and the fact that they joined the Labor Party to make a change because they want to improve community outcomes for all Australians. And that's why most people join the Labor Party, and we need to give them faith, again, that they have joined the correct party and that we value their role in the Labor Party.
Do you really expect ordinary Australians to believe that so many members of the Labor Party had no idea that branch stacking was happening on this scale? It was so pervasive in Victoria. To hear the Premier say that the first who knew about it was from 60 Minutes seems really unlikely.
Well, Dan Andrews is known as a man of his word. Anthony Albanese has credibility on this issue, and every time any of these types of things have occurred in the past, has acted immediately and swiftly. There is no tolerance from senior levels of the Labor Party for this type of behaviour, and that has been made very clear in the actions of the National Executive, in the actions of Daniel Andrews and Anthony Albanese in the last few days. We want to get on top of this quickly and swiftly, and we want to make sure it's done properly.
Now, you're a Tasmanian Member of Parliament. What do you make of this polling being done about Teddy Sheehan and whether he should be awarded a Victoria's Cross?
Well, I'm really concerned about it. I've had a constituent contact me. I think it's highly inappropriate to be doing polling in relation to a meritorious award. Courage shouldn't be about polling. Courage should be about Teddy Sheehan and what he embodies. We've had an independent tribunal unanimously say and recommend to the government that Teddy Sheehan be awarded a Victoria Cross. I think it's highly inappropriate for political polling to be being done on whether or not he should be awarded the Victoria Cross.
Do you share any of these concerns, though, about the push to have Teddy Sheehan awarded that Victoria's Cross when that's outside the normal process for awarding that kind of medal? Is that allowing the public to interfere with what's the normal course of action?
I think it's very concerning that you've got essentially political polling being undertaken in Tasmania about whether or not somebody's courage deserves an award. That is not a political decision. It's not a polling decision. It's been a decision made by an independent tribunal and has already been recommended. What we have seen is the Prime Minister say that he will not recommend Teddy Sheehan for this award. Us on the Labor Party have said that we want to abide by the decision of the independent tribunal. as should be. When you've got a unanimous decision of the members of that tribunal say that Teddy Sheehan deserves a Victoria Cross, this fight is being led by, a state Liberal minister, and has been pushed by so many in Tasmania across the board for this to be taken seriously. And then we've got a unanimous decision, but we had a Prime Minister say that he doesn't agree with the unanimous decision of the tribunal.